Good morning, everyone. What's going on? Welcome. Welcome to Wednesday. Welcome to Homebuilt Workshop. And welcome to Wednesday Live. What's everybody up to? Oh, man. I don't know if you can hear that. Sounds like an airplane's coming through the... It's going to, like, graze my head. What's going on, everybody? Sam's here. Sam says hello. Good morning, Sam. Good afternoon, Sam. Paul says greetings. Good morning. Sam says 10C in the UK. 10C, 50 degrees or so. I think we're 30, 28 or 30 degrees. So like right at that zero. Paul, wonder if he's vertical or horizontal today. I think I've maybe figured out something with that. It seems as though when I schedule the live stream and I get everything set, it seems as though if I use the phone for absolutely anything, somehow it changes. But if I schedule it and I leave everything sitting, then it seems to work. Seems like we're at a weird angle here, so I'm going to scoot this back. I don't know why. I just feel really, really close. I'm feeling very close to you all this morning. Paul says a 67 in Dallas. Ooh, nice. Robert's here. Robert says, hello, people. Good morning, Robert. Time Surfing. What up? Time Surfing says, greetings from LA. I like that. Lower Alabama. LA. Not the other LA. Right on. Well, it's a new day, a new week, a new set of projects and things we're working on around here. If you remember last week, we were right in the middle of a snowstorm. And what a snowstorm that was. It snowed literally for like 3.5 days straight without stopping. It was pretty crazy. Remember last week I stepped outside and it was a bit of a mess. What that day was like, we had the winds and everything. It was like blizzard conditions. Once that ended, we had Thursday and Friday of just snow. Wind picked up a little bit again on Friday evening, but it didn't really stop until early Saturday morning. And I don't know what we got exactly because of the wind, but we got 20 plus inches of snow. I really think that it's probably around that 2-foot mark or very close. And so that was Saturday morning. And then Sunday, it was in the 50s. Monday was in the 50s. Tuesday was a little cooler, but a lot of it is already melting. And except for some of the areas that were really drifted and the piles of snow from plowing the driveway and everything, you wouldn't really know that we just got like 2 feet of snow. It's pretty crazy. And yeah, now we're back to what I would consider normal type temperatures. Just a crazy storm we had. It was actually pretty cool. Made me really, really miss not having a snowmobile, because this was one storm where we could have used a snowmobile just to go out and have some fun, play around, not for any sort of, emergency or anything, but just to go have some fun. So I might have to try to find an old snowmobile, like some old crusty thing that someone's got, and see if we can't get it running. Of course, if we do that, then the chances of us or getting more snow will probably be 0. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. If you saw the video where I was working on the first first episode of the giant edge sander, a few clips in there of some of the snow we had, but it was pretty cool, really. I didn't mind it at all. Schools were shut down for 3 days. Yeah, it was nuts. It was pretty cool. Robert says it's 58 in Oklahoma. He said, yep, I saw you in the snow. And Terry's here. Terry says, hello, Jeff. Good morning, Terry. How are you this morning? Time Surfing says, I've been seeing the Alabama snow trucks all headed to the cotton gin. Robert said, yeah, you guys were getting snow? Where I am, we were getting rain. Yes, that was a giant storm. And I saw that on some of the maps where the snow was in this area, and then east of that storm, it wasn't snow. Well, it wasn't east of the storm. It was still part of the storm, but the eastern side of the storm was all rain, and we got all snow. Scott's here. Scott, good morning. Scott says, hey, Jeff. Scott, how are you doing this morning? Right on. Glad you can make it. That's awesome. Well, what's everybody working on? How's everybody been for the last week? Hopefully not shoveling feet of snow. What sort of projects are you tackling? I want to hear about it. Sam says, I was replacing skirting boards last weekend. Had to undo poor craftsmanship. The last person decided to butt join the middle of the skirting boards instead of miter join them. Too long for length. Oh boy. Well, that's a cool project though. Replacing some stuff, making the skirting boards better. Nothing wrong with that. Right on. Most of my weekend last weekend, well, Saturday was spent really just cleaning out snow. We had a buddy come over and do some plowing with a regular pickup with a plow on the front, which was super helpful to get the majority of the snow. And then I had to do a little bit of work with the tractor, just to get a few areas cleared out. I don't like plowing snow with a bucket on a tractor. It's the worst because you don't have any way of keeping the bucket to from digging into the dirt, and our ground wasn't frozen underneath, so try to avoid that. But yeah, I had to do a little bit of digging out, and other than that, and then Sunday finished up the video, got that up, and really just kind of been working on the sander project this week so far. I'll show you where we're at on that here shortly. But yeah, that snowstorm really kind of changed the plans a little bit. And Paul got back in the shop somewhat last night. Have two guitars to assemble for a customer. Paul, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Your things must be going pretty well now. Getting back in the shop. That's awesome. I'm happy. Robert is stepping away from the computer to make some coffee for a short bit. Well, Robert, enjoy your coffee. I'm going to enjoy a little sip of mine. Cheers, everyone. Terry says, I'm good. We have 32 degrees this morning in central Michigan. Right on. That's roughly where we're at as the sun is, starting to really warm things up a little. It was, I don't know, mid-20s this morning, but should be around that 30-degree mark or maybe even 32. I don't know if we're quite there yet, but definitely not too bad. Time Surfing says, always a pain going behind someone with no pride in their work. Yes, the skirting boards that Sam's working on. Sam says, my mother decided to sweep the MDF fibers rather than use the dust extractor. I told her not to sweep it. It's nasty stuff. Yeah, you start sweeping that up, and that dust starts to fly in, and I get to sneezing. Scott says, looks like the project on the bench is a leveler. Oh yeah, you can sort of see that, huh? Well then, good eye, Scott, good eye. It is, I don't know what we'd call it, but I got one right here. Let me show you where we're at on the sander. We're gonna swing the camera around here and show you the status of the sander now. So I'm gonna step out of here, and then we're gonna swing around here. And I'm gonna pop down here. Probably can't see me too well, but I've got it all disassembled. If you remember in the video, the table that I was working on was red. Right now, I'm working on building the work table, which will, hold the work piece. So I had to do a little bit more welding. Had to weld in a couple more support bars, which you can't really see it, and I don't know how to get you at a little bit of a better angle. There's a bar right here. That was not there yesterday, and there's another one over here. I added those two, and then I thought, well, I've got everything disassembled. Might as well put a coat of paint on it, because I think I'm done with the welding on this table for now. But these two bars are going to be to support the other bits that are on the bench, which I'll show you in just a second. But I got everything pretty well done here. Finished welding up my motor brackets and all that sort of stuff. So now, right now I'm in the process of working on making a couple of pieces that'll reinforce the table. This is going to fit up in here like so. And then for now I'm going to leave the original plywood top on here. I'd like to do something a little bit more sturdy, but for now I think it's going to be okay. But I need to put some reinforcements at least under this front edge, because I'm going to have a lifting mechanism that goes right up through it. So I want to have a little extra beef. I don't want anyone to say, "Where's the beef?" Did I just age myself? But yeah, this sat in here last night. The paint's nice and dry, so now I can get back to working on sort of putting things back together a little bit. And of course, the sander's over here. We'll swing this back around. Nothing really changed here for right now. I do need to pull these brackets off at some point and paint those as well, but I ran out of paint when I was painting on that. Whoa. So yeah, so yesterday I was back out welding, adding some more supports in here, some more of the framework that's going to help hold everything else in place. We'll catch up on the couple comments here, and then we'll carry on and show you what I'm doing for the table. Paul said, yeah, somewhat in the shop. Doctor called in a wound specialist for the ankle to get it to heal properly. Right on. I'm glad you're able to get back up and around a little more, Paul. Harry dude, there you are. Harry dude says, what's up? Hey everyone. Time Serpent says, hey Harry dude. Robert's back. Coffee's brewing. Mr. Coffee 5-cup maker makes 2 mugs for what I used to drink, or for what I used to drink it out of. Right on. So yeah, so the things on the bench. This is what I'm going to use to basically support the table and keep everything straight. These are some this is a linear rail. I think I showed you some of this. Linear rail. It's mounted to this piece of 1/4-inch bar, a flat bar. These are going to get bolted to those supports that I just welded in yesterday. So it's going to be mounted in this orientation. Let me see if I can get this where I can show you how this is going to work. So these will be mounted to the side of the table, bolted up here through these holes, and then bolted down here. And then up at the top, these mounting brackets, which you would normally attach to a bench or a table or something, depending on what you're building, I'm going to have a tabletop surface that basically sits on top of this. I'll have some, I don't know, probably just some blocks of wood, maybe some pieces of angle iron or something to bolt this through sideways. So this will be attached to the underside of the table. I'm going to have it in 3 corners. I'll have 2 on the front, and then the table I'm going to have wrap around one side so that I can use the large wheel as kind of a, not a spindle sander necessarily, but more of a contour sander for larger contours. So I'll have 1 in the back, so this will be supported by 3 of these things. And then the table will be, since it's going to be attached to this, the table will be able to move up and down on these linear rails. And then I'll have like a hand screw kind of clamp right in the center where I'm reinforcing the tabletop. The same hand screw that I have on my acoustic guitar side bender. That way, then I can crank the table up, and it'll ride on these linear rails. Hopefully, everything's rigid enough that it'll keep everything straight and square. But I think it'll work. I like tinkering with mechanisms like this. It's kind of cool, and it makes your brain think about things a little bit different. But so far, it's going good. Everything seems to work well. I've got kind of this sub-assembly together, and I'm pretty happy with it so far. this end, I may end up cutting these shafts a little bit. I'm not sure yet. I sort of don't want to, but I also don't know exactly how much travel I'm going to need. Right now I have plenty of travel. I think these are 36 inches. I only need maybe 6 inches of travel. I don't know exactly, but I'm not going to do anything like that cutting until I have it all together, and then I can determine if I really need the extra length or not. But it's kind of cool. It's just kind of fun to, I don't know why it's fun to just roll this back and forth, but I got 3 of these guys put together. I also need to paint these brackets too, but like I said, I ran out of paint. But I'll have to take it back apart and do some painting. That's sort of heavy after a while. Sam says, Jeff, there's a guy, Colin Furs, yeah, in the UK that's building his own multi-room shelter system underneath his house. From garden and back garden, he's also installing a car lift in the shelter. Yes, I've seen some of the stuff that he does, and just wild projects, but they're pretty cool though. Robert just got my like in. Second one showing my side of the computer. Right on. Hit that thumbs up. Sam, autocorrect sucks again. Yeah, autocorrect's a pain. Robert says, I've been watching his channel. The first couple of sections of his dig was all underground by tunneling. Yes. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Heritage says, you wouldn't need any more travel distance than the width of the belt. I don't think so. The belt's 8 inches wide. I don't know, what is that in millimeters? I'm not even sure, to be honest with you. Not that it matters, but now I'm curious. What? 206? 206, I think, or thereabouts. But yeah, I don't think I will. I don't think I'll need that much. I'm just not, since I don't have the tabletop together yet, I'm not 100% sure where, in this travel, where this is going to live. I think it's going to probably all the way down be somewhere in this area. And then, it'll have to move, 8 inches or so to get towards the top of the belt. Maybe not even that. Because if it goes all the way to the top of the belt, then I would have nothing to sand on. Maybe 6, I don't know. I'm still working that out. But yeah, I won't need, my guess is I probably could lose 8, 10 inches off the bottom of this. But just going to wait until it's together. To make sure to see if and where I need to cut it. I heard it says, yeah, 200 approximately. Sam says you might want to get to that store for a prices increase. I don't need anything at the moment for the store. But speaking of stores, okay, not a rant, but I want to tell you a little bit of an experience that I had, and I don't know why. I don't understand it. So I drilled. Let me grab this one. So this is one of those brackets that the linear bearings mount on, and all of the sizes for the bearing are in millimeters. It's a 20 millimeter rail, and I think the holes are, I don't know what they are, 5, 6 millimeter. I think they're intended for an M5 screw, but I'm not using that. I'm using a standard Imperial. If I say standard, then everyone yells at me because it's not standard. No. Anyway, I'm using Imperial here. The closest size that fits the holes is like a 1224 screw or a 1232. You could use either one, but a number 12 fits this. So I drilled and tapped these for a 1224. after looking through my stash of screws, I didn't have any long 1224. I have some 1224s, but none that were long enough. So I said, well, I'll just run over to the hardware store. They've got a big wall of all the sizes, the 832, the 1024, 1032, all of the different sizes of screws and bolts. Really nice selection, really. So I go in there and I look, and it literally goes 832, 1024, 1032, straight to quarter 20. Not a single 12, not a 1224, not a 1232. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. I'm like, I don't know. Not even a spot for it. They just didn't have it. So I go to a different hardware store. Same thing. I went to one of the big box stores, where they have basically a whole aisle of, the drawers with all the different things in there. And I went up and down that aisle trying to find 1224 screws. Not a single, not even one option, short, long, whatever. They didn't have any 1224, nothing. And now I'm getting kind of frustrated. I'm like, this is not an uncommon size, at least in my head, it's not. But nobody has them. So I was several miles from like our local Ace Hardware. So I thought, well, they've got a really good selection. Let me call them. Thankfully, they had some, and I was able to go down there and pick up what they had. They didn't have quite enough of these steel ones. I needed 24 of them. They only had 20 of these, so I had to get a couple brass ones just to, because that's all they had. So I cleaned them out of that and a few of the other ones. But have you guys ever encountered anything like that? And as far as is a 1224 really that uncommon? And as far as I know, it's not, but the selection in the stores tells me otherwise. The reason I wanted to use a 1224 was because it was closest to that screw size, and I didn't want to use something smaller. Hindsight says I probably would have been okay using a 1024, a little bit smaller screw, would have given me a little bit of wiggle room in the hole, and probably still would have been strong enough had I known that it was that difficult to find 1224 screws. I don't know. Do you know anything about that? I just thought that was weird. I just never suspected a 1224 to be hard to find, but apparently it is. That's my experience. Have you guys ever run into anything like that? Dastardly Dave's here. Dave says, sup all. What's up, Dave? Oh, Sam says UK food store. Oh, gotcha. Yes, we were talking about that yesterday at dinner. I said, we've got to get down there. Got to get down there. So hopefully this weekend we'll maybe we can venture down to the other side of town. We're going on the other side of the tracks. No, I have no idea. I don't even know what part of town it's in. I just know it's on the other side of town. And Paul, super chat. Paul, thank you so much. Paul says, keep the coffee flowing while the weather keeps. Thank you. Thank you for calling snowing. Right on, Paul. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, bear with me as I hit this button, and it a lot of times doesn't work until I hit it like 26 times. Why? Why does it not work sometimes? Right on. There we go. There we go. Right on, Paul. Cheers. Got to keep the coffee in the mug. This is the like my favoriteest mug. It's great. Robert says, will you be installing some kind of a crank system to raise and lower the adjustable top you're adding to the sander? Yes, I will. I don't have it out here in front of me, but if we'll roll back in time to when I built the acoustic guitar side bender. If you remember that hand crank wheel that I have at the top that lowers that block of wood down and bends the pieces into the waist, I'm using that exact same style of clamp, except it's going to be mounted under the table, so that when you crank it, it's going to raise it up, which will lift the entire top, which will be sliding on these linear rails and raise it up. The only thing that I don't think it's going to be an issue, but the only thing that I'm keeping in mind is that all of the weight of the table plus whatever I'm sanding is going to be on this piece. And that's why I showed you that reinforcement piece of plywood earlier. That's why I'm putting that on there, because like I said, all the weight is going to be on that crank. The rails hopefully aren't holding any of the weight. They're only there to keep the table nice and straight and let it glide up and down. So yeah, it should work. It should work really well. Paul says, had a call come in while I was waiting for the super chat. Dang, iPhone mic. Well, Paul, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That's what I said. Thank you. Right on. Really, I really do. I appreciate all of you guys so much. And Scott's got the super chat. Since you have your coffee, buy one for the wife and a cup of hot chocolate for Haley. Oh, right on, Scott. Thank you. Man, that is awesome. You guys, I so appreciate it. And you don't have to do that. But I appreciate it so much. Now we'll try to hit the button again. Wow. Sorry about that. Remember when I was trying to hit the button and I hit something weird? Yeah. My apologies. Sorry, everybody. So I muted Scott, I muted accidentally when I was trying to hit the button for your super chat. So again, I'm going to back up. Thank you so much for the super chats, Scott, Sam, Paul. Right on. You guys are awesome. And my apologies for hitting the mute button. Rookies, I tell you what. Oh boy. And Sam, you asked if I could make my own screws with a tap and die. I was muted a minute ago, but yes, I totally could. I could make the screws. The challenge that I might run into with that might be finding the right size round stock. But if I could get the round stock for it, yeah, I've got a tap and die set. I could totally do that, and that would have been an option. I mean, that would have probably been a last ditch option if I totally couldn't find them. But so weird. I'm still baffled at the fact that nobody had a 1224 screw. Sorry guys, everyone says muted, no sound. Yep, I'm sorry. My apologies. Robert says, seems you have trouble clicking the on-screen buttons. I wonder if something's off in the calibration. you might be onto something there. Maybe I need to go in and recalibrate. I don't know if I've ever calibrated, to be honest with you. Huh, I'm going to look into that. Heritage says, I think we just missed the answers to the question of life, universe, and everything. Well, you didn't hear that, Harry dude? Are you telling me that you all missed that answer? The meaning of life? I don't think I can go back and repeat that. Dazzly Dave, you're back. Scott says we missed the last 4 minutes. Jim says, never mind, turn mute back on. Harriet says, I've never heard of a 1224 screw. Was I really muted for 4 minutes? No. Well, how far back do I need to go? Robert, did you hear me explain about the crank system to raise and lower the table? I gotta make sure I gotta go back and catch up. Darn it. Sorry guys, I messed that up. Yeah. Yeah, Harry dude, I don't know. 1224 to me, it's something I used to use a lot when I worked in when I worked in town, machine maintenance, equipment maintenance, and that sort of thing. Not heavy equipment, but like factory type production mechanical equipment. 1224 was pretty common. It's one size bigger than a number 10 screw, and it's one size smaller than a quarter 20. Now I know that's metric or imperial metric conversions and stuff, but quarter 20, it's kind of the standard size. I'm using quarter 20 for a lot of stuff on this project, but the 1224 is one size smaller than a quarter 20 in imperial. I think there's maybe a metric size in there that would fit the bill as well, but it's the closest imperial size that I could get to quarter 20 and what fit the hole. These bolts would not fit through the hole that's in those bearing blocks, so I wanted to use the biggest one I could without having to drill those out. And a 1224 fit the bill. So yeah, I don't know why it was so hard to find. Sam says Jeff needs sound technical support or entire IT department. Yeah, yes. Robert said, yeah, I heard the crank explanation. Good. So I didn't skip by too much. Jimmer says we should do one of those bad lip sync videos now. Yes, that would be funny. I mean, you could do that anyway. You just take the audio out. Jim, I didn't see when you came in, but did you see this contraption? My linear rail table slide support. I don't know if you saw that or not, but I'm getting ready to mount the table. I just got to find some material. Maybe we can talk about that. I got to figure out what I'm going to use for this table. I got some ideas. I just got to go find it. Here it says, yep, used a quarter 20, 1024, 1032 is a common 19-inch rack mount. Yes, there you go. Yes, 1032 is your rack mount thread size for almost all rack gear. But yeah, so that's a number. I'm sure you know the designation, right? So the 1024 is 10 is a number 10 screw, which is the size, and then 24 is 24 TPI, threads per inch. I almost said teeth per inch, but and then 32 is 32 threads per inch. 1224 and 1232 is exactly the same, number 12 screw thread count. It's just one size bigger than the 10. I don't know why it was so hard to find. Jimmer, have you ever encountered that? I don't know. Maybe nobody uses a 1224. Maybe I'm an oddball for using it on this project, but I didn't suspect it was going to be that hard to find. But anyway, yeah, the progress is going along pretty good on this this sander build. I'm going to scoot back a little bit. I'm pretty happy with where it's going. We're getting there. I'm working on off camera at the moment some parts and pieces which will come into play probably for phase 3, which will be the wiring and all that stuff. I'm trying to design like the electrical control box and things. I want to try to 3D print that, so to hold the stop switch and power switch and different things. So doing a little bit of prototyping, letting the printer run while I'm out here working on things. So in the not the table episode, but probably the third episode, we'll probably have some more 3D printed parts coming in, and right, that'll probably be where we start really completing this thing. But it's been fun so far. Jim says, no, never. You never used them or never had a problem finding them? It will be cool to get this wrapped up because I haven't really made any sawdust in a little while. So I need to get to doing a little more woodworking. But once we get this done, we'll get back into cutting some wood and making some sawdust. I just don't know what that'll be. Sam says, let's see here. Perhaps get a camera and screen setup that you can operate independently to prevent accidentally pressing the mute button, for example. That would be good. That would be good. Yeah. Again, I'm sorry I hit that. It's right there on my screen. It's right, boop, right there. And I pressed it. It was right near the like button for the super chat. And I just went too far that way. Jim's never used them at all. Robert says the first mug of coffee red. Oh, with a chocolate moon pie. Ah, the breakfast of fat people. Moon pies are good. If you've never had a moon pie, you got to try one. They are tasty. And there's a ton of different flavors, but I like the chocolate ones. Dallo's here. Dallo says, good Wednesday. Dallo, good morning. How are you? How's everything going in your world? Right on. Have you been able to get back to your guitar build? And Jimmer says, fat fingers. Yeah, that's what I did. I just, I needed to hit here, and I hit here, and what can I say? I don't know. Sorry. Oh, so Jim, I'm working on packaging up all of your 3D printed bits. Actually, I got another piece of bubble wrap here that I'm gonna get everything packed in there and hopefully get to the post office. Probably not today, tomorrow or Friday. We'll get up there, so I'll be heading your way before long. Right on. What are you working on today, Jim? What's on the not on the bench, but what's on the lift today? Well, I guess it could be on the bench. You got like a McLaren in there or a Ferrari or something? Or just a Volkswagen day? What kind of day is it? Supercar day or Volkswagen day? Not that there's anything wrong with a Volkswagen, but... Oh, let's see. Today, Jim is working on a Lexus engine R&R. Remove and reinstallation. Well, that doesn't sound all that fun. Let's see. Sam says, wouldn't it be funny if Jeff discovered that the stream stopped 20 minutes ago? No, that wouldn't be funny at all. Because then I'd really feel silly because I'd be standing here or sitting here talking to nobody. It wouldn't be fun. And Jim says there's lots wrong with VW. Well, Okay. I don't know what everybody drives. I was just saying. Maybe someone drives a Volkswagen. I don't. Yeah, I'm not going there. I don't own a Volkswagen. Some people like them, like the old bugs and stuff. Anyway, Lexus engine R&R. Kind of that sounds like a pretty big job. That's probably a little different than than pulling out an old small block back in the day. Dallo says actually it's 1:38 a.m. Yeah, see? So it's good morning. And I'm working on my DIY CNC build. I already built a structure and some parts will arrive this month. Right on. That's cool. That's going to be awesome. Speaking of parts arriving, I had some electrical components for this sander that were to be delivered. What day was that? Last Wednesday, the first day of our snowstorm. Um, of course, there was no mail because of the weather. So we didn't get mail Wednesday. We didn't get mail Thursday. We didn't Friday or Saturday. Here in the U.S., Monday was a holiday, so there was no mail. It was Veterans Day too. Happy Veterans Day. It's a little bit late, but I'm going to put it out there. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans. So my parts that were on the truck to be delivered on Wednesday didn't get delivered. Yesterday was Tuesday. This was the first day we actually got any sort of mail delivery, and they weren't delivering mail. They were only delivering large packages because I guess at the post office they're buried, which is understandable. I mean, our post office is pretty busy in general anyway. But now you got like 5 days of mail. 5 days, 6 days. Yeah, 6 days if you count Sunday. They haven't delivered anything, so they're like super buried. So the mail person came in and gave us a box, which wasn't the parts that I was waiting for. And they said that they haven't even gotten to the mail yet because they have, I guess this delivery person had 400 or 500 packages, just this one person. And I don't know how many people deliver out of that post office, but there's quite a few. So I don't know when I'm going to get the parts. Hopefully, they can start getting regular mail delivered, but yeah, that's pretty wild. Thankfully, I'm not at the step where I'm waiting for any of that stuff yet. It's for, the electrical, but yeah, that's wild. So I'm waiting for parts too, Dello. Hopefully, I hope you get your stuff in. So on your DIY machine, what are you for the structure? What did you use? Are you using like kind of the plywood, or are you using some like aluminum extrusion or something like that? What kind of what are you using for it? I guess is basically the easy question I'm trying to ask. Jim says that's a rabbit hole. See what I did there? VW rabbit. Yeah. Nobody likes those, do they? VW rabbits. I remember my dad had one at one point. Maybe it was one he was working on. I don't remember. Rabbit hole. Dun-dum. Sam says there's no American flag in your workshop. Where's the USA chanting? Yeah, I don't have one in here. I don't know why. It would get all dusty and crusty, and I don't want it to get all dusty and crusty. Dallas says, I designed with Fusion 360, and the structures are made of profiles and birch plywood. That's awesome. So you designed the whole thing. Dello, that's super cool. That is awesome. Jimmer says, Dad had rabbits. Could that be what I'm thinking of? No, I'm pretty sure I remember one being at my dad's garage back when I was a kid. Robert says, was never a fan of the VW Bug, but the Carmen Gia, not sure of spelling. Yeah, I know what you mean. I thought looked pretty neat. Always thought of it as a squashed bug and thought that V8 thing was also neat. A VB thing. Oh, the bus. I read that as V8. I do remember, Jim, you might remember this. Back in the day, before I moved out here, when I lived back east and Jim and I used to bomb around and tear up the roads, there was a guy in town that had a Volkswagen Bug, if I remember correctly, that had, I want to say it was a 460 mounted in the front. Do you remember that? Maybe it was a 454, but I think it was a Ford 460. Do you remember that bug that used to run around with the big block? I remember seeing it quite a bit. I'm almost positive you've seen it. But yeah, Volkswagen Bug with a big block Ford engine in it. And look who finally showed up. Gina's here. Good morning. Gina says, hello all. I was making a map and missed most of the live, but never fret. I'm here now. Never fret. Makes me want to do something with frets. Seems fitting, but I can't think of any sort of wisecrack. Right on. I'm glad you made it. Sam says, hello, Gina. Robert says, the VW thing. Oh, yeah, the thing. That's right. Jim said a big block Chevy is what I remember. I don't remember exactly what it was, but you remember that bug, though. I don't remember it, like, looking super fancy. You know, more of a barn find kind of condition. I don't remember it being real flashy, but it was loud and pretty fast from what I remember. Jim says brown or burnt orange. Oh, the bug? Yeah, I remember it being some sort of a weird color. Paul says, Jeff, no problem with not knowing a wisecrack. Don't fret. We won't hold it against you. Dang it. Makes me want to grab a fret wire and say something. But I got nothing. I mean, I'm not typically too much of a wisecracker. Oh, boy. Robert says the VW thing looked like the old World War II German staff car. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yes, and I think you're exactly right. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. I don't know what they used. I mean, Volkswagen's German, I believe, right? So maybe it is. I don't know. Henry's here. Henry says, Christmas is coming up. Trying to think of some easy gift ideas, maybe batching out some spoons. That, Henry, that is a great... that's a great question. Well, I'm going to throw it out to everyone. I want you guys to click, 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 or typety type. What are some cool gifts that you can make, batch out? Maybe you make a batch of something. Do you guys have a go-to or something that you like to make? Yeah, we need to start putting out gift suggestions for everyone. I'll get to the other comments in a second, but let me ponder that for a second. Some things that I've made in the past that I thought were kind of neat were Christmas ornaments, right? So some of the ones I've made were like slices of small tree branches, and you slice it off. And then some of the ones I did were laser engraved on there. You could personalize it and put whatever you want on there. Drill a little hole, put a little hanger thing. Those are always fun to make. Christmas ornaments, of course, you could always 3D print a bazillion different kinds of Christmas ornaments if you have a 3D printer. So those are always fun because you can customize them, for whoever you're giving them to, put their names on there or whatever. Spoons, Henry, I like that idea of spoons. Making some hand-carved spoons. Get one of those spoon gouges. Maybe carve some out. Something like that would be kind of fun. What are some other things? I'm trying to think. But I want to hear from you guys. What would be something cool that you think, would make good gifts? Because it is. You're right, Henry. It's that time of year. Yeah. Sam says, get a big red British double-decker bus and convert it into a summer home. Heck, I'd make it my everyday home if I could. I wouldn't be against that. That'd be cool. You have like an outdoor patio on the top. Paul says, 12 years in the military, I stay locked and loaded for wisecracks. Robert says, yes, it is. If VW thing was not a direct replica, it was real close. Yeah. Now that you mention that, you're right, because I can picture it. Gina says, thanks, Scott. I love coffee too, and Haley loves hot cocoa. Yes, that's what I said. Paul says, I made gnomes, snowmen, and bandsaw reindeer in the past. Ooh, yeah, we've done a few different things. Never as like a giant batch of gifts, but yeah, I like those ideas. Scott says lathe ornaments. Lathe ornaments, those are super cool. Some turnings. I don't have a lathe personally, but I do think that those are a great project. I've seen where people will glue up, different blocks from different species of wood and that sort of thing, and you turn it down and they look super awesome. Tony says, woohoo, I made it. Right on. Tony, good morning. How are you doing this morning? Yeah. Paul says, look at Gina claiming the money for coffee. Remember, Jeff, what's yours is hers, and what's hers is hers also. I mean, yeah. What can I say? Let's see. Tony says, getting the camper ready for this weekend. Right on. Tony, doing some camping. It's perfect weather for it. Cold and snowy here. Paul says, one year I made pens for everyone. That took a while. Yeah, I can imagine. I've never made a pen. I would like to. I'd have to get a lathe for that, but they just look like a fun project. You just buy the kits that has all the parts. And pretty cool. Sam says, are you on Discord or Twitch? I have a Discord account, but I don't have anything specific set up. My buddy Chaos, who's on here sometimes, is always trying to get me to, you got to set up a Discord, and he's probably right. I probably need to, but at this moment I don't. Do you guys use a Discord? I don't even know what else you use Twitch for, to be completely honest. I've never used it. But would anything like that be helpful? Discord might be. It's more of a forum kind of thing, because I know I tried to do the forum on my website a while back, but it got really kind of hard to manage. Even just to get it going, it was kind of clunky. So I sort of abandoned that idea, and that's when he said, well, you set it up on Discord. Do any of you use that sort of stuff? I know Eric Schaefer has switched his forum over to Discord as well, and from what I understand, that's working out pretty well for him. So maybe it's something we do, but I need to, if it's not something that any of you guys use, I don't know. Gina says, Paul is so wise. Hi, Sam. Sam says you could dual stream. Oh yeah. Edgelight says, did I make it, or is this recorded? You, my friend, are live. We're live right now. This is not after the fact. Paul says, Gina, Jeff needs a lathe because he's getting lathy without it. Oh, think of all the bowls, pens he can make you for the house. He'll be the envy of your neighbors. Thanks, Paul. Drizzy Guitars, what's up? How are you doing this morning? What's on your workbench? Gina said he had a lathe. He was lazy with using it. I did have one at one point, but it was huge. And it was given to me by a friend, and it was one of the Harbor Freight ones, so it wasn't great. I did some things like making some file handles and stuff. So in some of the videos, if you ever see me using a file and it's got a wooden handle, that's something that I made on the lathe. But I ended up getting rid of it. It like shook around a lot and it took up a lot of space. If I was going to get one now, I would get one of those little tiny ones. You know, one of them little small, what do they call them? A midi lathe or something? You know, something I could, you know, sit up there when I'm not using it or something like that. Definitely, at this moment anyway, I wouldn't get, you know, a full size, you know, big, large thing. Edgelight says, awesome. Woo. Paul says, went into Discord, but there was so much Discord in there. Quit doing it. Sam says, Gina, Jeff muted earlier. Yeah, I did. Apparently I hit the mute button somehow, and I just kept on talking, and everyone's going, yo, what do you, what, we can't hear you. What's the deal? Paul said, Jeff, you're handy. Matthias has plans for making a wooden lathe. I know. He's got plans for making a wooden just about everything. It'd have to be a small one. I wonder how much power. Do any of you know, for those small MIDI lathes, how much power is required to run them? Like what size motor? Because I'm thinking about that now. Like, why could you not take it just an electric motor, put a lathe chuck on it? You wouldn't have like a tail stock necessarily, but if it was just a lathe chuck, on a direct drive onto an electric motor, what would be the problem with that? That'd be fairly easy. Huh. I got to ponder that a little bit. That's going to be running through my head for a bit. Robert says the channel called Stinnett Sticks, the guy that does the realistic animal carving, on his walking sticks, did some carved spoons with animals on the handle. Have you guys ever seen those carved walking sticks? I'm almost sure it was that guy. Incredible. If that's the channel I'm thinking of. Wow. Edgelight says, got a new CNC router, but I'm not taking it out of the box until after Christmas. I have 23 CBGs to make and need to focus on getting those done. But I'm watching you. 23 of them? Well, first off, Edgelight, that's awesome. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's probably a wise choice. Clear the bench first, then you can spend a little bit of time, and by a little bit of time, I mean a lot of time, learning and setting up and practicing and playing with the CNC. So that, I feel that's a wise choice. Although I probably would be too excited and I would want to set it up anyway. Then I'd get distracted, and then it'd come down to the wire, and I'd have 23 cigar box guitars to get done. So, good choice. Yeah, that's awesome. 23, that's a lot. I got one I need to start on, mainly because I have the cigar box, and it needs to be turned into something. It's just sitting there. Robert lost the connection for a minute, but he's back. Right on. Paul says a third horse to a half horse. Hang on. Don't go anywhere. You guys, talk amongst yourselves. I'm stepping out of frame for a second because I have something over here. If I can get it out of here, that's going to be the hard part. I'm coming back. Don't worry. I'm not gone. I'm back. I'm back. This all dusty, but I have this is a, oh, never mind. That's not going to work. I thought this was a 3rd horsepower motor. What in the world? What kind of, this is a 15th horsepower motor. Never mind. I was going to say, hey, I got one. A 15th of a horsepower? Seems awful giant for a 15th of a horsepower. I have a 3rd horse motor around here. Oh, I know where it is. It's not this. I know where that 3rd horsepower one is. It's on my little buffer, which maybe I'll dismantle. Maybe I could dismantle that. That's a 3rd horse motor. Put a lathe chuck on it. What could go wrong? That might be kind of a fun project. Paul says, unless you want to do bowl or non-spindle turning, you would need a rheostat to control speed. Heritage says, aren't lathes geared? I think a lot of times, yes. I don't know. I'm just trying to think of other ways. What could you do? Would that work? If you could control the speed, which this one I know you can control the speed because the application it used to be in was speed controlled, but I don't remember how we did that. Or is this a DC motor? Maybe this is a DC motor. No, it's not because I ran it off AC. Huh. I don't know. I had a brainstorm. I had an idea there, and that motor won't work. It's too small. I heard oh yeah, aren't lathes geared? Yeah, I believe so. Scott says lathes use a belt, and you can change the speed by moving the belt to a different size pulley like a drill press. Yes, they also, I believe a lot of the fancier ones, I don't know, newer ones, have some sort of a speed control, whether it's a VFD or some sort of other rheostat of some sort, so you can change the speed. That might be a fun project, though. Get a motor, figure out how to mount a lathe chuck right to the motor. Just put it on some sort of a base that you can just clamp down, and you could do some sort of stuff with. I don't know. There's something that sounds fun about that. But a lot of that might be because I like those sorts of projects. I mean, I like all kinds of projects. That's no secret. But there's something about the mechanical type projects, like this sander that I'm working on right now, like building my 2x72 belt grinder. I enjoy those sorts of things, and building some sort of makeshift lathe using a motor and a lathe chuck. Something sounds fun about that. And it's not something I ever considered before. Sam, right on. Oh no, Sam, thank you again. Good grief. Hopefully I don't hit the mute button. Thank you, Sam. He says chant. I'm not chanting. I can't hit the button. It's not working. It's not working. I don't know why. It's not cooperating. I'm trying to do this. There you go. There we go. Paul says, "Harry dude, mostly belt drive. Speed changes by changing slots on the belts that they run in." Yeah, it's a like a stacked pulley. A lot of them, where you have a whole bunch of different ones. But I have seen them, where they have like the what are they? The shiv pulleys. What are they called? Not a shiv, but it's like a shiv. You know what I'm talking about? There's a name for them, and I can't think of the name. Robert says, yeah, he does a bunch of walking sticks with realistic looking snakes that look real enough to make you wonder if they were real live snakes. Yes, I'm positive that's the channel that I've seen before. Edgelight says a bunch of CBGs are for gifts for friends and family, but I also have orders for customers and some local stores. That's awesome. Oh. Go away, potential spam. Sorry about that. Didn't have that muted. Paul says a 15th might allow you to do pens. Well, I might have to try it. I'm gonna have to look around and see if I can find a lathe chuck that I could fit on that motor shaft. That might be fun. I heard it says like a drill press then? Mine has 13 or 11 speeds depending on belt positions on the pulley. Yes, just like that. Depending on, if it's an older lathe, and maybe there's still newer lathes that are like that, but I've seen them, where they have the drill press style pulleys just like that. But I've also seen ones that don't have that, and they're either VFD controlled or some sort of variable pulley. And then you have like the metal lathes, the ones that I've used in the past, like the south bends and stuff like that, those are all internally geared. They have the, gear shifts basically to change the speeds. Paul says some have direct drive motors controlled with a rheostat, but most use belts and pulleys. Speaking of rheostats, I'm going to pick your brains for just a second before we hop off here. I've been thinking about, at some point, adding some sort of a speed control to this giant belt sander. And I've been pondering the way to do that. My first thought was a VFD. But in doing some research on that, the motor that is currently on it, the one that came with this sander when I found it, is an old capacitor start motor. Now, from what I can find, it seems as though the VFDs, most of them anyway, they don't work with the older capacitor start electric motors. So I was trying to think of, well, what could I do to change the speed? And I'm wondering if just a simple rheostat wouldn't do that, like a light dimmer type of thing. Do you think that something like that would work with a capacitor start motor? I don't know. Maybe at some point I would put a different motor on there, one that's compatible with a VFD. At the moment, I'm not super concerned about being able to adjust the speed, but I think it could come in handy. And I'm trying to think ahead and build all this stuff in now, or as much of it as I can while I'm actually building this thing. But something tells me that controlling the speed would be kind of cool. I also want to wire in a switch for the direction. I got to understand that wiring a little bit more. Scott says, my Rikon has both pulleys and a speed adjustment. Oh, so you got like infinite. You set your speed where you need it with the belts, and then you can fine tune. That's kind of cool. Paul says, my Lagunas are the same way. I have a 1216 and an 1826. So you can change the speed and then a speed control? I heard it says old stage lighting dimmer, high power capacity. That's what came to mind, Harry dude. And maybe where would be a good spot to get one of those? Like, maybe can you still buy those new? I've not looked yet, but something like that did come to mind. The big that might work. Where do you even look for one of those? I mean, I'll hit up the Googles, but something like that would be kind of cool, and probably, pretty easy to wire in too. Sam says maybe connect the workshop with Alexa. Nope. I don't. There's already enough. I got enough devices listening. Sam, eBay. Yeah, I probably could find one on eBay. Stage dimmer. I'd like to find like a newer one though, or somebody's got to make them. I don't want to put something that's got 1,000 hours, or more on it, and so many uses, and I want something. I'd like anyway something new that's also built well. I know those two don't always go hand in hand anymore. You buy something new, it's not always built well. Maybe an older one would be better. But anyway, right on, everyone. I think now I gotta get to getting these things mounted. Paul says Harbor Freight makes some great electric motors. Paul, I've heard that their electric motors are pretty darn good. So maybe I could look at one of those when it comes time to build a lathe. I bet you they even sell some sort of a lathe chuck. But I don't know. Sam says, could try RS Components if you have it there. I'm not familiar with that one, Sam. I'll have to look it up. Sam says, thanks for the fantastic stream today, Sam. Thank you. And thank everyone. Thank you to all of you for taking some time to hang out here. Heritage says, I've got 3-channel rack mount dimmers, DMX controlled. Should be able to buy something like it new. A rack mount deal. That might be kind of interesting. Robert says, everyone stay safe and healthy. Have a good one. Paul says, Penn State sells inexpensive lathe chuck to save money and a cool name. Paul says, gotta go. Have a great week, everyone. I gotta go too, Paul. I got holes to drill and parts to mount and tables to build. I didn't even get to talking about the table, but that's all right. Dallas says, have a great week, everyone. Sam, be safe. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks for taking some time out of your day to hang out here. It's always my pleasure to hang out and chat with all of you. So Gina says, have a great day, all. You have a great day, too. I'll see you later. So anyway, right on, everybody. Thank you so much. You guys get on your shops, build some stuff, fix some things, have some fun, be safe. Thanks a lot for tuning in. I appreciate each and every one of you. On your way out, if you haven't hit that thumbs up button, make sure you hit that on your way out. Scott says, enjoy. Right on. Thank you, guys. I'm going to get out of here. Have an awesome week. Hopefully, part 2 coming out this weekend. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. Later.